Hi, Ghost Recaps here. Today we will be going through an action, sci-fi movie from 2014. Named, Lucy. There will be spoilers ahead in this video, so chill out and enjoy. At the beginning of the movie, we see a cell dividing into many other cells. Then we see a prehistoric man drinking water from a lake. Lucy is telling us that life began billions of years ago, but what have we done with it? In the present, American Lucy is studying in Taiwan and dating Richard, whom she met at a nightclub. They've only been dating for a week, but they already have a sweet relationship. Richard asked her to take a briefcase to Mr. Zhang's room. Now we don't know what's in the briefcase, but we know that Richard doesn't have a good relationship with his boss, Mr. Zhang. Even though Lucy is offered $500, she refuses to do anything for Richard. So he shackled the handle of the briefcase to Lucy's wrist, due to which he was left with no option. Lucy enters the hotel and nervously asks to speak to Mr. Zhang. Tensions rise, and she looks up at Richard, who is smiling and trying to encourage her, but he is shot dead. A group of thugs come out of the elevator, and Lucy is lifted up. They take Lucy to Zhang's apartment. There are bloodied corpses on the floor, causing Lucy to vomit. Zhang comes out with his hand covered in blood. He calls a man to translate for Lucy. She is crying and very nervous. Zhang writes down the number 140 on a piece of paper, which is the code to open the briefcase. Zhang goes into the next room while his men are armed with guns and shields. Luckily, it is not a bomb but blue powder packed in plastic bags. Zhang brings in a drug addict to find out if the powder is real or fake. The man briefly convulses and then laughs out loud until Zhang shoots him in the head. Lucy is then offered a job, but she refuses and is beaten up. Meanwhile, we see Professor Norman giving a great lecture on brain power. He is telling us that most humans use only 10 to 15% of their brains, but despite this, we have made a lot of progress. To date, there is only one such creature that uses 20% of its brain, and that is the dolphin. Professor Norman says that after 20%, the doors really start to open. You get complete control over your body, and after 30%, you are able to control others. Someone asked what would happen if a person used 100% of his brain. Professor Norman says that we cannot even imagine what he can do, but if this happens, then it will be impossible to stop him. Lucy wakes up with pain in her stomach and is taken to a room where she meets the other victims. A British man comes in to explain to Lucy that we have made a cut in your lower abdomen and that we are hiding a packet of drugs named CPH4. Lucy is told that the drugs have to be taken to Europe, and we will set you free when we are done. Later, Lucy is taken to a room and chained up, where one of the thugs wants to have a romance with her, but Lucy refuses, due to which the man gets angry and starts kicking her on the stomach, exactly where they had hidden the drugs by making a cut. This bursts the drug bag, and a powerful blue chemical leaks into her bloodstream, sending her writhing across the room. A lethal dose of synthetic CPH4 triggered a surprising development of his brain activity, and she has been able to use 20% of her mind. Lucy wakes up again, her eyes bright blue. She sits up straight, calmer than before. A thug comes into the room, and Lucy spreads her legs to woo him. The thug smiles and puts his gun on the table. As he approaches her, Lucy grabs his belt and turns him over, and after freeing herself with a gun, she shoots the other thugs while they are eating. He gets shot in the shoulder, but he is able to get the bullet out without feeling pain. Then she eats all the thugs' food before leaving. She finds two taxi drivers outside, shoots one in the leg, and takes one of them to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, Lucy's senses are heightened, and she is able to hear voices from outside the car. When she arrives at the hospital, she is able to read the signs clearly, as if they were in English for her. She reaches an operating room where doctors are operating on a man. Lucy looks at the patient's X-ray scan and then shoots the man, telling the doctors that they will not be able to save him as the tumor has already spread too far into his brain. She forces the doctors to remove the bag from her stomach. She then calls her mother to tell her that she can feel everything: the air, the blood in her veins, the heat emanating from her body, and that she is even able to access the deepest parts of her memories. Like she remembers everything from when she was just 1 year old. He even remembers the taste of his mother's milk, and she can feel the 1,000 kisses that her mother had on her cheeks. Before hanging up, she tells her mother that she loves her. The doctor removes the bag of drugs from Lucy's stomach, and when she tells him it is CPH4, the doctor wonders how Lucy is still alive. Lucy goes back to the hotel to find Zhang. She kills his guards and then stabs both of his hands. With her newfound powers, she implants a Vulcan mind into her brain and sees where the other 3 victims are going based on images of their plane tickets. After some time, Lucy goes to her friend Caroline's house. She asks Caroline to use her laptop. In her research, Lucy comes to know about Professor Norman and his research. She reads all the research in a few seconds, then calls them. She tells him that I have read all your research on the human mind, and he is surprised to hear that she read everything. Lucy tells them that I have absorbed a large amount of synthetic CPH4, which will allow me to use 100% of my brain's capacity, currently at 28%, and what you wrote is absolutely true. When the brain is at 20%, he unlocks the remaining 80%. She reveals that she can control electronics and magnetic waves, making her presence felt on Norman's TV as well as his phone and radio. She tells Norman that she doesn't feel pain, desire, or fear. All those things that make us human are fading away. She tells Norman that she will meet him after 12 hours. News has spread that Lucy shot the patient, so she changes her hair color and style as soon as she walks through the airport. She contacts Pierre, the local police captain, and warns him about drug trafficking. She sends him an itinerary of the men carrying the drugs inside. She assigns him the task of catching the men and getting CPH-4 for her. Then she boards a plane and continues her research on the brain, typing frantically on her laptop. The flight attendant tells her to turn off her computer, and Lucy asks for a glass of champagne. Lucy is given a glass of champagne, she takes a sip, and then 40% appears on the screen. She sees a tooth in her glass, and then she spits out 3 more teeth. Then her skin begins to disintegrate in front of the passengers and flight attendants. Not understanding what is happening to her body, Lucy runs to the bathroom, where her fingers begin to disappear and her face begins to melt. She inhales and sniffs the remaining CPH-4, bringing herself back to normal, but she faints. Lucy wakes up in the hospital, where Captain Pierre and some other officers and doctors are waiting. Lucy knocks the others unconscious with just a hand gesture. After seeing this, Pierre does not argue with her. She asks Pierre, "Did you get the packets of drugs?" Pierre says yes, they are in this city. He was taking her to a hospital where drugs were being taken out of those people's stomachs. Lucy hacks the phone grid and learns that the Chinese are also going there to pick up the CPH-4. Lucy drives to arrive early. The police bring the 3 men to the hospital, where they were to undergo surgery to remove the packets of drugs from their stomachs, but then Mr. Zhang's men come, take them to a room, and after killing them, extract the narcotics from them. Meanwhile, Lucy arrives at the hospital and is surrounded by armed men. At this time, his brain was working at 60%. She demands CPH-4, but when a man starts to run away with a briefcase, Lucy creates a sort of invisible wall to prevent him from escaping with the briefcase full of drugs. Mr. Zhang's men could not stop her even after trying, and she went away with the briefcase. She also asks Pierre to accompany her. Then meets Professor Norman. While Norman has also summoned some of his field men, Lucy tells them everything she currently knows, while Mr. Zhang and his men surround the building and open fire. Lucy tells them some scientific facts about how cells communicate as a group and the ways in which they can disintegrate and rebuild, while Zhang and his small army are about to attack the university in full force, prompting Lucy to get a clue about it. Lucy says that I have to take the rest of the CPH-4 so that I can unlock my mind 100%. She tells Professor Norman that she is going to build a computer and upload all of her acquired knowledge into it for the benefit of mankind. While Pierre is trying to stop Mr. Zhang so that Lucy can buy time, Lucy synthesizes the rest of the CPH-4 in her body with the professor's help, which enters her bloodstream. His brain function increases to 70%, and his hands start turning into black fluid that connects to the computer in the room, which gives Lucy more energy. As her brain power increases, she manipulates matter in such a way that she destroys everything in the room. Mr. Zhang's men take a rocket launcher and blast the room, but Lucy reaches Times Square, thousands of miles away. She can stop time, she can scroll through time to see the past. She sees ancient Indians and dinosaurs in the past. She meets the first primitive woman in the past and touches her finger. In Lucy's mind, we see a delightful and abstract display of the universe and all the secrets it opens. Lucy knows everything about the universe. Zhang enters the room and slowly points his gun at Lucy's head. And then it reaches 100%. His body vanishes, and his clothes are left behind. Without thinking twice, Zhang fires his gun. Pierre barges in and shoots Zhang. The dark matter in the room disappears and turns into a flash drive that falls into Norman's hands, thus detailing and completing his research. Pierre asks where Lucy is. A message pops up on his phone that reads, "I'm everywhere." Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Have a nice day.